Hello, everyone. I am the Lord Siphon, and I am here to welcome you back to Minecrack. Today, I am standing here on my nether portal to the Mushroom Island. Brief timeout here. Let's call it what it really is. This is the Mushroom biome, and no one can change my mind. So don't even try. But this is how we've been transporting back and forth from the lands of the village and my palace to our more beefy industrial builds such as the Devastator and the Monolith. Today, we do something with this portal, but that is far from all we're going to do in today's project. Oh yes, Projectception is alive and kicking. So not only are we going to turn this whole area into a build project worthy of my name, it's a good name, thank you very much. We are going to make a factory the likes of which we have never even attempted before. Cobblestone, stone, basalt, smooth basalt, dirt, mud, packed mud, terracotta, bricks, pointed dripstone, and dripstone blocks, all made from one location. Hi, Future Siphon here. Now, I don't do this very often, but I wanted to bring you a kind of special sneak peek from the future. After this build is complete, to a behind-the-scenes preview here at the massive redstone abomination that will be working beneath this build. Now, some of you may know that I am a very avid fan of YouTube's Hermitcraft series. Well, one member in particular, RENDOG, has coined a saying about his redstone projects, or as he calls it, Renstone, and I think it applies very well here. It ain't pretty, but it works. So what this colorful pasta bowl of blocks and redstone witchcraft is doing is automatically processing all those things I mentioned this build would produce, several of which are then further produced into other things that we need. For example, part of this is me feeding in gravel, which is being combined with an initial supply of dirt to create coarse dirt. That coarse dirt is being fed back up to the surface where I can process it into a boomification chamber to make normal dirt. That dirt can then be further processed into mud, which can be further processed into packed mud, so on and so forth. And just think, that is just one component of this behemoth of machinery. So while I admit this is most definitely not the most efficient way of doing something like this, I am very proud that I designed and implemented it all by myself. Okay, enough ego stroking, back to present Siphon. Now naturally, even when making a redstone monstrosity, I do at the same time want to have tons of fun with the builds surrounding it. So come one, come all, to the unveiling of the dock.